of the rim. Garnett on the slam. Oh, using Curry way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry.
My favorite saying throughout much of the lifetime on this channel has been everything in life is optics. Yet very often things are just as they seem. With Draymond Green, things are as they seem. Suspended indefinitely at his big age with gray in his beard, Draymond Green is being suspended and basically being told to fix his attitude before he plays basketball again. A suspension that very much seems to be something you'd expect from a young player, a guy who hasn't been around the block. As we all know though, Draymond has been around the block. We are in December. We're not even actually halfway through December. We're right at that mark, with this being his second suspension. For pretty egregious events, I might add. That triggered the thought for this video where I just want to go through his past. I'm not going to catch everything. Truthfully, you could take this back pretty far. What I figured I'd do is go through his suspensions, to which there aren't as many as I thought there would be, while also looking through a timeline of just some of the really ridiculous things he's done. Even if they don't seem ridiculous at first, you eventually find that there's a pattern. So before we discuss present day, let's rewind the clock back to 2016. I think this is where the quote-unquote reputation started with Draymond Green. You're in the playoffs, they're in a very tough series with the Thunder. It's game 3, series tied 1-1 in OKC. Draymond drives into Adams, loses the ball, and kicks him just about as hard as one can from this angle. And me, I always try to give players the benefit of the doubt. I just have never wanted to have it in my head that a guy would go out there and try to cause harm. It makes me take a second look, and I'm just wondering, how does your leg go up in this manner in this situation? That's a direct shot. The quotes after games, I'm just always so dead in how he handles these situations in the press conference though. Someone tweeted about a day or two ago, he speaks of the events as if he was in werewolf form. And I'm looking at the quote after the Steven Adams event where he goes, "I thought it would probably get rescinded. I followed through on a shot. I'm not trying to kick somebody in the midsection. Somebody wants to have kids someday. I'm not trying to end that on a basketball court. I thought it would probably get rescinded." No, it didn't. However, you may have remembered this event incorrectly. Draymond Green was not suspended for the kick to Steven Adams. He was fine. Of course, this was in the midst of the 73-9 season. A suspension to him at the time, league office probably felt as if would end the series, and they still went down 3-1 and then came back, so that's a whole thing. Yeah, I would definitely say this is his most infamous event to date, because who knows what's gonna happen when he returns. He's a very unpredictable character these days. No suspension here is hilarious, as later on in his career, Draymond Green apologists would say it's his reputation that causes some of the league reaction to what he does. And back in 2016, he really was receiving a lot of grace. The 3-1 comeback happened, Warriors Cavs in the finals. Golden State now takes a 3-1, except it's not before Draymond crashes out once again. LeBron was stepping over him as he was getting up. Green clearly took exception, as after Braun was past him, he extended his arm and hit him once again in the groin. The two events were not very far apart, but on the topic of grace he received, this was upgraded to a flagrant foul after the game where LeBron or the Cavs allegedly had the league go back and take a look at it, very likely sparking the 3-1 comeback. And yeah, at this point, it's crazy. Draymond has been such a big part of Golden State's success. I still feel like the fan base is probably turning against him. As you'll see, the list goes on. It just feels like the Warriors, ironically, could have been even more successful if it weren't for him. After this suspension, Bogey gets hurt that game. The Warriors don't win the championship. I do think that was a catalyst for the Cavaliers coming back. Draymond's statement to the media went as follows: "He stepped over me and I felt that was disrespectful. I don't disrespect you on the court, don't disrespect me. There's no love lost. It is what it is. It's a battle out there. I'm going to battle with whoever it is." Yeah, perfect quote. He sees basketball as a battle and not figuratively. Hell, this quote really actually confirmed he was retaliating. So we'll touch on more of his franchise history altering events as the list goes on. No suspension here, just the first notable of many pokes. I was going to say objectively, I don't even know if this is anything more than bad optics. Then I see the replay where he's kind of sort of leading with his left hand as Braun has the ball up high. I don't know, you decide for yourself. I'm just going to say it's very confusing how these two turned out so close. They were on rivals. Green has put this man on his ass so many times. He somehow still seems closer to LeBron than Steph. That's another video. Regardless, I believe this is the first red eye of 3 or 4 on this list. Franchise history altering events. KD did not give the ball up to Draymond at the end of a game where he felt that he should have. Draymond took the argument further than it needed to go. Durant ended up leaving the Warriors. None of us will know if he was leaving either way. It's just very easy to have this event to point to when you know there's more events later. The two did hash this out years later on the show where Draymond admitted he thought KD was leaving the Warriors even before the blow up, so there is that to consider. KD went on to say it was the lack of communication because, yeah, Draymond was suspended for the event. Durant viewed that as just a blanket to put over it though. He thought it should have been addressed in the locker room. He thought the staff should have been able to tell him right then and there what he did and what he said was fucked up. He just didn't love it. Whatever it is, I do believe the chances of Durant being a Golden State Warrior after this event went significantly down. Not saying he would have stayed. I just believe it was one of those cherry on top type things. Well, we've got another red eye alert. Harden going up for a floater. Here, I will say in real time, it does appear he was going in the direction of the ball. He just missed and once again touched the wrong ball. This time the eyeball. Eyeballs, actually. It appears he got both of them. After the match, Harden told the media he could barely see, and Draymond said he made a mistake and hit him in his eye. Quote, just wanted to check on him. It's not about hurting anybody out here. So many times people forget that when a guy has an injury, you live with that every day, every second of every day. It's not just about this game. Yeah, I believe this probably took a bit to heal. Also, do want to point out, it did not make the list. Yet that was the third player he had poked in the eye in the span of a year. JJ Redick also fell victim. Everything in life is optics, and sometimes those optics hurt. This play sticks out to me. I believe it's kind of hidden. Didn't result in anything. He's rotating over to help on a Kawhi Leonard drive. Does appear to go for the basketball, yet when he misses, grabs his whole arm and pulls him down. Looking at the replay from under the basket, yeah, he's got him hooked. This is the point where one starts to ask just, how many accidents can you have? How many, oh, I was going for the ball, but I accidentally really almost hurt somebody events can you have? Well, let's find out. Later that year, you see him doing his thing. He's hustling for a loose ball, doing the Dennis Rodman impression from one end of the court to another. Then when the ball ends up back in the possession of Houston, he tracks Kevin Porter down and runs full speed into him. Just like a crash dummy. It's a tackle. The first one, just hustle, cool. I admire the whole getting back on defense thing. I do ask myself here though, what was supposed to happen with him running full speed at KPJ? What was the legal defensive maneuver? What was the goal? I don't know. We don't know. I will say he was hustling and it ended up looking stupid. Oh, look, another poke. Later in that year's playoffs, there is a trap between he and Kevon Looney. In real time, it appears very passable. In the replay, you see the ball is here and his hand is here. Aggressive defense? Misjudging where the ball was gonna be? I'll let you be the decider on that. However, that is 1, 2, 3 eye pokes. Everything in life is optics. Oh, hey, how about a little bit later in these playoffs? Brandon Clark is going up with it. Green swipes at the ball and misses, so opts to use his left hand and pull his jersey. Clark goes down. He does something similar to the Kawhi event though, where he realized he was dragging him out of midair, so he also tried to kind of extend and make it look like he was helping. Once again, I ask, how many times can it be an accident? He got ejected here. Yeah, he just, bro, he grabbed his jersey and pulled him to the floor. Oh man, it was in game 1. They go on to win the championship. However, boy, it could have gone south. Green had exactly 0 remorse for this event, as by the time it happened, he was doing podcast reactions after every game. On said pod, he went on to acknowledge he did in fact try to hold Brandon Clark up after pulling him down, and so he didn't know why he was kicked out. And the biggest piece here, him blaming his reputation. Optics, you might even say. It's funny because once again, the apologists ran with this. And here we are a year later, you can no longer say he just gets treated a certain way because of his reputation. There's too much. It's gone overboard since then. They lose here, he winds up suspended. They lose the next game. Who knows if they climb out of the well, what could have been a franchise altering event if the deficit would have been to occur. It didn't, but let's move on to an actual franchise altering event, one that did occur. By this point, seeing the problems Draymond could have caused for the franchise and has caused for the franchise, it makes the whole quote about Jordan Poole calling him an expensive backpack for 30 very believable. To my knowledge, we have no proof this is what was said. It does explain the entire event though. Yeah, and also to this day, I wonder how the video got leaked. I think we will have more details in the coming years as players begin to talk, more interviews happen. For now, we know there was an altercation. Draymond was caught on camera slugging his teammate, which essentially burned the bridge. It is safe to say Poole was gone from that moment on. Now, whether that is a negative or a positive for Warriors fans, would it have really changed what they're going through right now? We don't know. Poole is not that kind of player. The optics though, it's the second teammate that Draymond more or less at least played a part in pushing away. Yet the funniest part of this ratchet ass situation will always be a 30 for 30 style video of Draymond before a game, basically talking about how he doesn't use social media or talk about or listen to what people talk about with this situation and him, and he doesn't even know what the world thinks about him punching Jordan Poole. First of all, that's bullshit. Second of all, what was this even a part of? Whose idea was this? This whole thing was so utterly ridiculous and just further contributed to what people think about Draymond Green today. He slumped his teammate, bro. And if that's what was said, he slumped him for what was partially the truth. Between him not shooting throughout the years and all these problems he causes, he's a very expensive backpack for 30. I'm not going to let that overshadow all the great things he's done. He has been a great player for them. Assist, defense, yeah, the works, I know. Still though. As a matter of fact, let me show you what I mean. That year's playoffs, Sacramento already up 1-0. Sabonis hits the floor, and you pause the video, you do see he's got Draymond's leg wrapped here a bit. Even with that, he freed his leg and then stomped down on his chest. All right, bro, I don't even know if Draymond has apologists anymore. He did it this time. I'm just going to tell you, stomping down on the man's chest while he was on the ground, there was other options. I promise you there was. This could have been so much worse. It did injure Sabonis, by the way, and it could have been a lot worse. There were other options, I'm sorry. Dre disagreed though, as after the game, quote, "My leg got grabbed. Second time in 2 nights. I gotta land my foot somewhere, and I'm not the most flexible person, so it's not stretching that far. I can only step so far." He went on to tell the explanation he received from the refs was he stomped too hard. Yeah, you think? Sure, your leg has to land somewhere. This was a stomp. They did lose this game. He was suspended, and I'll say that led to the point it very much felt as if the Warriors would go down 3-0 and lose the series. Steph would eventually clean up the mess and they'd survive. In this specific moment though, it was in spite of Draymond. That pulls us to present day where, once again, all in 2 months of the season, barely by the way. As a matter of fact, not even a full 2 months of the season, Draymond Green has put Rudy Gobert in a headlock, then turned around and Mortal Kombat punched Jusuf Nurkic for no reason. Green goes on to say after the game, quote, "As you know, I'm not one to apologize for things that I meant to do, but I do apologize to Jusuf because I didn't intend to hit him." As I asked earlier, what was the intention? Like, bro, look at the play. He went from trying to catch the ball to absolutely out of nowhere turning and swinging on the man. What was the intention? Even his own teammate, he's like, what the fuck? Whatever it is that's going on with Draymond Green, which causes him to snap on a dime, I hope he figures it out, I guess. I'm not gonna be one of the people acting like he has a drug addiction or something he can't fix. He, my brother in Christ, he does the things. He chooses to do them. He is suspended indefinitely until he is fit to play once again. I will say I didn't see this coming. I thought they were gonna up the ante and go 10, 15 games. I don't know. It's so close to what he just did to Rudy. I believe there would be a number on it. There is not. We'll see him someday. Maybe it's soon, maybe it isn't. One thing we know isn't soon is another Golden State championship. Not with this core. Clay looks crazy. Dre is acting crazy. Steph won't speak up to his front office. Hell, the front office has never done a great job disciplining him. I think that's part of how we got here. He didn't get suspended for the Jordan Poole event. He got fined. He could have broke that man's neck. He didn't even get suspended. How does your team not suspend you in this specific event after the history? You know what? I don't know. He's not on my squad. I don't have to figure it out. Good luck, Golden State. It has been a great run, so you can't be totally mad.